shopping intensifies. The Federation represents major retailers such as Edgars, Mr Price, Foschini and Woolworths. Now, Michael Lawrence is the Chief Executive of the Federation. He joins us now from our Cape Town studios. Michael, good afternoon. Of course, there are multiple effects of the power cuts on retailers, but let's just start with the first obvious concern. Is it anticipated that they will sell less this season, with power cuts possibly keeping people away from malls, etc.?
Devin, it's an absolute no-brainer. We've already seen the impact on sales just from the power cuts we've had in recent times. And it doesn't help that Eskom in its narrative just keeps speaking about industry and manufacturing as if retail is not one of the largest contributors to GDP and employment in this country.
And I mean, another obvious thing, we've heard an analyst just a few minutes ago saying that the contribution consumers make to GDP and the economy is vast, more than 60%. So I guess that's another obvious fact, isn't it?
Well, yes, indeed. Look, a value chain has to be completed by making sure that product gets to the consumer. That's the function of retail. We want to keep our consumers happy. We want to keep them enthusiastic. And we want to keep them shopping as much as is possible. And if we have shopping centres that go dark and stores that are unsafe, it's not going to happen. We're going to increasingly just dampen the whole consumer confidence that we all know is already taken such a big hit and needs a bit of opportunity for revival.
Another part of that value chain, your members rely on manufacturers, another sector being hard hit by the on and off power. So that complicates things even further, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely, and you've indicated you left through us out of my list of members, but our members actually provide the shelf space for most of what is locally manufactured in terms of clothing. Now, we know most clothing is imported, but certainly we provide the shelf space for most of what is locally manufactured. And so, one, our supply chains are under threat here because we're not going to be able to access clothing easily. But also in terms of going forward, the recovery that we've been able to support in local manufacturing is now at risk. We're going to have a problem if we can't get supply and we can't get consumers enthusiastic about buying what is produced. So Eskom needs to be putting a narrative forward that gives an indication to us that they're thinking about these realities.
That's the one hand. What do you say is the plan for retailers on the other hand as this festive season intensifies? What's the role that Federation members like yours can do to add a solution or a remedy to the problem, if any?
Well, look, we're in intensive discussions, especially in our mall environments, to make sure that those opportunities can be leveraged where there are economies of scale for bringing in generated power and making sure that the security of shoppers is not threatened at all. It's a lot more challenging out in rural areas and in our standalone shopping centres and in those small kind of boutique shopping environments that seem to be so popular these days. And we are looking at finding some creative solutions around those trading environments as well. So we're applying our minds to it as we speak, but we also need clarity on where Eskom is going. We need Eskom and the shareholder to give us a clear indication of exactly how all of this is going to play out, because we can't plan for 20 scenarios when we in fact should only be looking at 3 or 4.
Is there enough dialogue, discussion, or some sort of consultation that happens between the power utility and bodies such as yours?
No, quite frankly not. And the fact that Eskom is only talking about primarily industry and mining when, as I said earlier, we're a top 4 GDP contributor in retail suggests that they've not been speaking to us enough. And that's why we've been putting out the kind of calls we have in the media, especially to say, can we please be approaching this differently? That being said, what we are clear on in terms of what we're hearing from Eskom is there isn't yet clarity on the extent of the problem and the ability to manage the problem, certainly in the short term, nor is there any indication in the medium to long term of just what exactly is going to be done. So we are hoping that our dialogue is going to improve quite significantly.
All right, thanks very much indeed. Michael Lawrence there, Chief Executive of the National Clothing Retail Federation of South Africa. Thanks indeed for your time.